What's up, guys? This is Matt Dollar, and you're watching the Fox Valley Open from July 2nd, 2016. This tournament was in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, and I played it in between the Vibram Open and the Silver Cup. So I actually played at two tournaments this weekend, one here on Saturday and then on Sunday at Zobel. So that was Steve teeing off first, and now we got Dave. I drafted a local named Crisco to film this round for us, and it was his first time filming, so he missed some shots. We didn't get my drive there, or Matt Parker's. So we started the round out on hole number 16, and this is the green course. They have the green course and the yellow course here at Winnebago County Park. The green course is kind of a weird one. It's mostly short. Most of the holes are under 300 feet. And then there's maybe 5 or 6 holes that are between like 400 and, 430 and like 500 feet. So it's either like a gimme hole or a tweener hole. So not my favorite course in the world, but it was okay. I had a good time playing it. I actually liked it a little bit better than the other course that we played during the second round, the yellow course. But they both have the good old Mach 3 baskets that we know and love. So after hole 16, I believe everyone got a par, and we move on to 17. Matt Parker turns his drive over, and that is definitely out of bounds. If you can see, I'm wearing the putter pants today. So I usually don't play in pants, but I bought these pants the day before this tournament because the other course that I play on Sunday, so this is the Saturday B tier, and then there's a Sunday B tier at Zobel, and they have tons of wild parsnip, which will mess you up. So I bought some pants to play in and figured I'd just go ahead and get used to it. And they're actually pretty nice. Some Nike Dry Fit Performance pants. So I went with the Snowline Ballista on the first hole and this hole, and actually threw a really good shot on this one. You can't really access this basket unless you're left-handed and can bomb. So I threw it about as good as I could, put me in position for a birdie putt. Steve here is a lefty, and he has a very unusual looking putt, but he is a darn good putter. So it was a joy playing with Steve and just watching him play, watching him putt especially. Matt knew he didn't like that one right out of his hand. So Winnebago County Park is always a little bit windy, as you can see, even though it's early in the morning. The trees are already blowing a bit. So close, but so far away. So Steve's got a little comebacker to work with here. After having a weird looking bounce off the basket, it like hit the rim and the nub, then popped off and rolled, but it's no problem for Steve. And hole number 18, this is a shorty, but there's no fairway. You just are supposed to throw over all the trees. And Steve actually went down the middle. I didn't realize there was a middle. I guess he just took the walking path. But most players just throw over the top. And I knew out of my hand that mine was going to go way too far left. Matt Parker also goes over the top. So Steve, being the only lefty, is the only one that takes up the middle. But as you can see, he didn't get out, so it's not the best spot. So I'm like 60 feet, maybe 50 feet left of the basket. And good putt and a good catch from the Mach 3. I mean, it was pretty much center, but, you never can trust these Mach 3s, especially from 50 feet. So that birdie there will get me going. And after missing the first couple holes, which are bonus birdie holes anyway, I'm ready to make a move. Now we got Matt Parker from the top of this little mound. And we all tap out from there, or they tap out. We move on to hole number 1. And I'm going over the top with a felon, with a thumber. So I think a lot of righties you'll see try to throw a low hyzer here over towards the parking lot. But I mean, there's really not a great route on this hole unless you can just throw a thumber over. And then Dave backs it up with another thumber. Dave has a pretty solid thumber, and after we played this round together and talked a bit, I gave him a suggestion or a few suggestions on different discs that he should be throwing his thumbers with because he was maxing out at 300 feet. So I think once I talked to Dave later on, he said that he's switched and found a couple better thumber discs and he's going with those. So sets himself up for a little 29-foot jump putt. Not quite able to connect. We got Steve from the edge of the shoal. So this tall grass here is all over the two courses. There's lots of tall grass here. In fact, the couple days that I spent practicing, I played one practice round on each course, and I spent more time looking for discs than I did throwing discs. So that course, I also spent a fair bit of time fishing because they have several ponds on these courses. And the first practice round I came out to play, I got through a few holes and then passed by the pond and had my polarized shades on, saw some fish, and had to get on it. So I ended up nailing about, 15 to 20 small bass between the, I guess only about half were bass, half were like panfish, sunnies and stuff. So, but caught quite a few fish during my practice time here and definitely enjoyed hanging out in this park. So this basket is just tucked right there in those trees. We missed my drive, but it was a pretty good one. It went right into this tree that Dave is chilling in now, but it went through it a little bit. It was a thumber.
Good.
Dave with the awesome little sidearm putt through the bush. That was a great putt from Dave.
Good putt.
Matt knocks his in, and let's see. Steve's got a little bit of a weird look. He straddled out to the right, but he's able to put it in there, and we are going to star frame this one. Now, hole number 3 is another over-the-top hole, and let's see, that gap straight ahead, the basket is just to the left of that. This one's right about 300 feet, and there's a lake behind it, and there's a fence down the right side that are both out of bounds. And when I practiced this course, there's also a path that goes down the left side of the fairway, and I assumed it would be out of bounds because it makes a perfect natural out of bounds area. But for some reason, they didn't use it as out of bounds, and I feel like that definitely hurt the ratings because anyone who throws over there didn't throw a good shot, but you're not really punished. You still get a 3. So I wasn't a huge fan of that. As you can see, there's that path that just naturally looks like it should be out of bounds. And you see 2 guys in the group are playing from that side. And that same path will come into play later on another hole where I actually throw into the path, but I knew it wasn't out of bounds, so you can play aggressive. But yeah, it definitely hurt the ratings of this tournament. In fact, this tournament rated out incredibly strange. I looked at the ratings for the last year's event, and I'm sure it was a little bit more windy the year before, but there was still some wind out here. Anyway, the crazy thing is the previous year there were no 1,000 rated players, and the winning score I actually beat by 3 strokes, I believe, during the tournament this year, and yet I only tied for 5th and averaged way worse than they shot last year. In fact, the guy that won last year, his round on the yellow course was rated, basically it came out like 50 to 60 points lower this year because everyone just shredded it. So that's the problem with our rating system, is that instead of it being judged on how you play against the course, it's judged on how everyone else plays against the course. So, if everyone shoots good, then you're going to get bad ratings, and that just happened to be what happened during this event. And it's just really crazy. The 2 weeks I spent in Wisconsin, I saw the 2 extremes of this, because this weekend, like I said, bad ratings, and then the next weekend at Silver Cup, I did not shoot very great that first day and somehow was in like 3rd place or 2nd place. So, well, you're going to see my first hiccup of the round right there. And this is one of the little ponds that I really like to fish in. Unfortunately, I did not throw it over the water. You see most of the righties just throw straight up the middle, but I mean, there's not the greatest route that way. I figured I'd just go out and around. I did it pretty easy in practice, but if you don't turn something over enough, it's definitely easy to finish back into that lake. So there's not really room for me to move up, so I just elected to re-tee, because if I moved up, then the sign and that other tree would have been right in my way. So I was throwing 3 there off the tee, and this is my 4th shot.
Very nice.
And unfortunately, I'm gonna take a double bogey pretty early into this round, and it definitely hurts on this course because you want to shoot low on this one. Everyone else seems to handle this hole pretty well. Looks like we have a couple 2s and a 3. And my 5 are there. So when you take a bad score like that, I mean, you can't get upset. You just have to accept that it happened. You know, you made a mistake or I made a mistake, and just move on. So you see right there, we go to this little shorty, and Steve almost dials it in with a soft anhyzer. It's dead center high on the number plate. So basically, when you start at hole 1, you really need to go low through like the first 7 holes. I feel like the first 7 or 8 holes are all really gettable. Maybe the first 7, and then the course definitely gets more challenging after that. So everyone's able to knock in a birdie here, as you should, on a 170 or 160 foot hole, and basically the wide open. And we move on. This hole here is just under 300 feet. I believe it's like 280. And the guys told me that in previous years they have made, I'm not sure if they made an island here or if they just made the grass behind the basket OB. So that could be another reason why ratings came out poorly. It seemed like they were very lax on the OB rules for this event.
Flip none.
Beautiful shot there from Matt. Looks like he almost rung it up. I'm going to go with a thumber and skip my Opto Spark right up to the basket. There's Dave with a good run from a jump putt over there. And it looks like Dave will be the only one to miss out on the birdie on hole number 7. Steve sticks it in there. So we will finish hole 7. We'll move on to hole 8. And that's where we hit the first backup of our round. Hole 8 is pretty long, and as you can see, the tall grasses off each side. I believe this hole comes in around 440 feet, 430, I don't know, something in there. So, and if you don't land in the center, which, who's going to land in the center when you're throwing it that far, and the center's only cut that wide, this one it's hard to find your disc. So we spent a little time looking, and that's why there was a backup there, because you know the groups in front of us had to look too. Even when you send a spotter out, you can't really cover all this area. So we found all the discs, and we were going to toss our up shots here. Matt's on the left side of the fairway because he caught that early tree. Nice up shot from Matt Parker. Now we got Dave, who is buried in the right side, but he's able to get out of there. Nice shot. So I came up a little short left and found this bush here. So I'm going to try to jump putt out of it, but I really don't have any swing with my hand there. So, oh, also it's a low ceiling, so I'd really have to fire one in there to have a chance of making it. And generally, when I'm playing on old Mach 3s, I try not to put that opportunity for a long comeback putt out there. I generally like to just lay up if I have to, you know, if there's a low ceiling, you have to fire one really hard at the basket. So that's why I basically just laid up there. Steve knocks in a good putt. Now Matt Parker's got about a 6-footer. Okay, it's like a 9-footer. And he puts it in there. And we move on to hole number 9, and this is that other hole that it's just a no-brainer on if something should be OB or not. You have a path right behind the basket. It's really the only obstacle on this hole. When I found out the day before the tournament that it wasn't going to be OB, I knew that was one of those things that doesn't hurt the good players so much, or it doesn't hurt the bad players. But since there's no OB, I just fired one at it and tried to throw one in. David's also going to go with the thumber. Wow, David almost skips it in. Great shot from Dave. Matty P with the birdie putt. Boy, it looked like it had a good line, but he knew right out of his hand that it was no good. So I tap in, and so does Dave. Whoa, not exactly the clean tap in Dave was looking for, but it did stay in, so we move on. A birdie is a birdie. Now this hole is, I want to say it's over 400 feet. I remember this one playing a lot longer than it said too. It may say like 394 or something, but this one definitely played well over 400. I'm going with the defender here, and another reason this hole plays long is because you need to make it over all those little cedar trees at the end of your flight. So I guess you just need to throw it way further than you think to get there. I kind of squirreled through the right side. It did get me through the cedars, but not going to have the best look at it. Dave comes up a little left, and Matty P is last to tee.
Stay up.
So everyone throws, and just about everybody is in a cedar tree or pine tree or whatever these things are. See, there's a little bit of both. And that was Matt with his upshot. This is Steve. He can't see the basket. He's just pitching out. I have a little bit of a putt here. Kind of an ante around that stuff. Not able to give it the best bid though. You know, if there's one thing to say about this tournament, wow, what a beautiful day in Wisconsin. This is a pretty hole right here too. I like this hole. This one's probably right about 300 feet, maybe a little less. It sits up on this little natural bridge area. It almost looks like a dam. And there's a fence, a wooden fence right behind the basket, so it almost looks like, once again, there should be OB right behind the basket, but there's not. You just throw and go. Dave put a pretty good ace run on his there. Matty's looks pretty good, just a little short. I'm going to come up to the right of the basket with my thumber and barely tuck one in. So here's Steve putting between the fences. I believe that is a star frame we just carded, and we will move on. This hole here has a lake just to the right of the basket, so you can't really see it so much. Well, you can see right there, there's the lake. I guess it's the same lake the whole way down. But if you go just past the basket to the right, like just outside the circle, well, right around the circle's edge, you'd be out of bounds. So I played my thumber to keep it to the left, just to be safe. Dave plays a more aggressive line and takes it straight on. Matty P launches one. It is on line. Wow, Matty P with a little chain tickle there, trying to get freaky and grab an ace. Steve is furthest out in the group. He's looking almost at 30 feet. Beautiful little loft putt there from Steve. Nose down, way up in the air. Looks good. And I do believe we just rang up another star frame. So now we have this little shorty, and you just have to make sure you go to the left because you're throwing over a little pond, and the pond continues down the right hand side of the fairway. So anything that straightens out just a little bit has the chance of going out of bounds. I went with the Justice there, and as any of you know that has thrown the Justice, when you throw the Justice righty backhand, it is going to go left. So Matty P is not liking his shot there. He thinks he went in the lake, and he'll take a provisional. Turns out he wasn't in the lake. He was right on the edge, and we didn't catch that putt, but he did happen to nail that putt down. So here's Steve with a long birdie putt. Almost puts it into the water. Oh wait, here is Matty P. So this is Matty P putting for his birdie after he thought he was out of bounds. And I guess I spoiled that one, so spoiler alert, he made the birdie. So I got about a little 28 footer here. Just going to tuck it in the middle side. And look at those clouds here in Wisconsin. And look at that Mach 3 leaning right at Steve. So this hole, I believe, was recently changed. It used to be some kind of tight hole going down the trees on the right side. Now it's just a short blind hyzer. and everyone in the group is going to put it inside of 20 feet.
Oh, yeah.
Steve has a little bit more difficult shot because he has to throw the turnover putter. Actually just went with the Justice on this one again too. And this is our last hole. Here we are. What do you know? We just cut those putts because they were all so close. This one has OB down the left a little bit. It's like 450 feet. And we got 2 different news crews waiting for us down there at the end. I was actually lucky enough to get a news interview after this was over. We didn't throw any good shots in for them though, so that would have been cool. So a lot of these guys are just going to play to the right side just to be safe because, like I said, there's some OB on the left. In fact, David just goes with an overhand just to make sure he plays safe. He has a pretty good round going. And throws a nice little upshot there.
Oh.
And that'll finish David off with a 45, which is 9 under par and pretty darn good. That'll have him on the second card for the second round.
Good.
Steve tosses one up. Everybody just tosses one up. So this is where I ended up. I went past all the out of bounds, but still tucked in the tall stuff. So I'm just going to have to chip up and walk out with my 44, which is a 10 under par. And man, I really had a good round. Minus 1 or 2 putts that, could have went the other way, and of course throwing it straight into the lake and having to re-tee on that one short hole. So here's a weird little look at the scores here. Matty P with the 49 had the 44, Steve with the 46, and Dave with the 45. So that'll conclude this round, and I do have the second round on video, and we may be popping it out sometime here in the future. So thanks for watching, and please check back for more videos. Thanks to Crisco for filming and Latitude 64 for their support.